Hey everybody, it's Mike and I'm starting the project on this black Les Paul. This body is an old Japanese Les Paul body from the 1970s, and I picked it up off of eBay for 80 bucks and it is in excellent condition. It did not come with a neck though, so I bought the neck off of eBay and it shipped out of China. The good news with this neck is it's not going to be the 7 1/4 radius. It's going to be the 12-inch radius, which is the norm for Les Pauls these days and has been for a long time. The Japanese Les Pauls, many of them came with 7 1/4 inch radiuses. So this one's going to be more standard from that standpoint. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bolt this neck on. It is a bolt-on neck. I have the clamp in place to keep it there so that when I drill the holes in the back through the neck, I'll be able to keep it attached, and I can continue to do the rest of the work on the guitar. So some of the things we're going to do here is I have a brand new tailpiece and bridge in gold. I have the strap locks in gold, custom truss rod cover. It's going to say Sage of Quay custom, like a Les Paul custom. I picked up these knobs off of eBay, and these are retro looking knobs. I'm going to try them out, see how they look. I think they'll look pretty good. If not, I have other knobs I can put on the guitar. I'm going to put a new pick guard on it. It's going to be a Les Paul custom pick guard with the black and white trim. I'm going to install this wiring harness. It is an Epiphone wiring harness. You can see Epiphone, made in Korea. So this is not a knockoff, this is the real deal. And I'm going to put a set of Guitar Fetish pickups in, and you can see this one's going to be the boutique humbucker in the neck position gold. It's going to be a Alnico 5. I believe it's an Alnico 5 magnet in it. And then we have the for the bridge position, we're going to have the crunchy high output humbucker, and both of these are in gold. So we're going to have gold hardware, gold pickups, and I'm going to try to, the best I can, to make it look very, very close to a Gibson Custom. And I'm going to be putting in some nice parts. Not super expensive, but not cheap either. Because what I want to do is, because I'm going to put my own logo on it, I want to make sure that the guitar is up to speed. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to bolt this neck on, and then I'll take it from there. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so the neck is attached, and I use the old plate. And the old plate, if I can get the glare out of the way, you can see it says Made in Japan, and it does have some wear on it, which you would expect for a guitar that is 40-something years old. I did have a new plate, but the problem is, see how the holes don't line up? Look at the bottom holes on the new plate, and then take a look at the existing holes on the old plate, and you can see that it's off just a little. So I figured it's okay anyway to have the old plate on there. Kind of gives it a little bit of a nostalgic touch, if you will. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is, since I have the drill out, I'm going to put the tuning pegs, machine heads, on the headstock, and let's see how that comes out. Okay, so I have these Grovers hanging around, and I'm going to put these on, and that'll spruce up the headstock. I mean, they're in nice shape. I swapped them out with a different type of Grover on one of my other guitars upstairs. So I'll put these on, save some money that way. So let me do that now, and when I come back, I'll take a look at the headstock with the new tuners. Okay, here's something that happens every once in a while. The holes in the headstock are not cut wide enough to fit the tuner. So if I slip this tuner in, that's as far as it's going to go. See? So what that means is I got to take out my larger drill bit and just very carefully just drill a larger hole. And what I do is I start with a drill bit that will just be slightly larger than this, and then I will try to slip the tuner through. If the tuner slips through, then we're done. If it does not, I just go to the next large drill bit and do the same process over. What I don't do is drill, 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 and then slip this in and hope I have a tight fit. So you have to make sure you have a tight fit by drilling, taking it out, the drill out, putting the machine head in. If it doesn't fit still, drill a little wider, try the machine head and see if it fits. And as soon as you get it to fit in snugly, you're done. Okay, so that's what I have to do with this. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the tuners are on, and I just had to use a bit that was just one size larger than the hole that was already there. So, and you can see it looks very, very sharp. And make sure when you put your machine heads on or your tuners that you use a wrench. I like these types of wrenches where you can see here, you see the teeth. Okay, so to tighten, the teeth would be on top. And let me see if I can do this. I'm holding the phone. It would grab on like this, and you turn it, and that's how you tighten. Okay, if you need to loosen, you go to the other side. You see the teeth now on the bottom, and you go to the bottom, and you're able to loosen. All right, you can get these on Amazon. I think they're about 10 or 12 bucks or so. The brand is, what does it say? Looks like it says ENP or ESP. ESP. Okay, so good tool to have. It's also very good to use on potentiometers when you're tightening the nuts down for the volume and tone controls. Okay, so it's looking pretty good, coming along. The neck's on, tuners are on. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wiring harness in. All right, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I just put in the Epiphone wiring harness, so it's all pre-wired. Even the input jack, you can see here that the toggle switch will snap in here. I haven't put the toggle switch in yet, but it'll go here. And that's it. I'm telling you, it's very, very simple. I know some guys are going to want to do the soldering themselves and whatnot, but I'll tell you what, to save time, and I've never had a problem with these, and I've used quite a number of them. This is great. You get them off of AliExpress. I think it's free shipping, $10 to $12 for the harness, and you're done. And it is genuine Epiphone. Okay, so I'm going to put the three-way switch in now, then connect it with the coupler here, and then we'll be done with the wiring. Okay, so the switch is in. I have an inventory, a bunch of these toggle switch plates, rhythm, treble. I have them in black and white. You can get them off of Amazon, eBay, AliExpress. You can buy them in bulk. They're really cheap. They're good to have if you're going to be doing a lot of guitar work. So let me just show you another thing here. You can see that I connected. This piece here goes to the toggle. This end here goes to the pots for potentiometers, volume and tone. And if you have a situation where, in a lot of these Japanese guitars, you'll have this problem where the potentiometer posts stick out too far, all you need to do on the other side is put a couple of washers underneath the potentiometer just to raise it up a little bit. And that will, of course, shorten the amount of the post that's sticking out of the body of the guitar, and then you're all set. You don't want your post sticking way up. I mean, that'll look kind of silly once you put the knobs on. So you can see where I have it there, hopefully without it blurring out. That's a pretty good height. Okay, so you can just adjust the height by putting washers underneath the pots until you get it to the right height. Okay, simple enough. Okay, so I'm done for this evening. I was looking at the hardware, the tailpiece and the bridge that I had purchased. I bought some inexpensive stuff and I didn't like it. So I went with the Goto tailpiece and the Goto bridge, which I had to order off of Amazon. I got a really good price for both, so I have to wait about a week or so before that gets delivered to the house. But other than that, I cleaned the guitar up. You could see it really, really shines now, and I used the Meguiar's compound for that. These are the retro knobs that I picked up. I think I got them off of eBay, and they look pretty sharp. Give the guitar kind of a retro look. I haven't done anything with the neck yet as far as leveling the frets. I'll have to do that, but you will see that I got the logo on. And I got it done in like a gold metallic. So that looks pretty nice. Tuners are on. That's about it. It's all wired as far as the harness goes, because all it is plug and play. I'll have to put the pickups in, but I'm going to give it a break until the the tailpiece and the bridge comes in, and then I'll start up again. Okay. Now this guitar really is in very, very nice shape. So it's unfortunate that it didn't come with the original neck, but I'm sure if it had come with the original neck, it would have been a lot more than 80 bucks. So this will work just fine. The neck matches perfectly. I couldn't be happier. And again, I got that off of, I think that was eBay too. I think it was 45 bucks, 50 bucks. I am going to replace the nut. The nut is a plastic nut, so I'm going to put a graphite, a Tusk XL. And I won't buy the pre-slotted, pre-shaped nuts. I like to shape the nuts myself, which means you have to file them down and stuff like that. But the upside is, and it's a big upside, is it's a nut that works perfectly, just perfectly with the guitar when you do it, from scratch. Okay, so that's it, man. This is going to be my number 2 Sage of Quay guitar. The first one, I don't know if you guys remember that. It used to be a Gibson Baldwin, and then Rebecca's son Adam did a bunch of wizardry with the wiring, and it has push-pull everything, most of which I don't understand, but he does. But this one's going to come out nice, and I'm really happy with it so far. So I'll pick it up in about a week or so, and we'll pick up the progress. All right, you guys have a great evening. Okay, so tonight's the night I'm going to put the pickups in the guitar. I just got done putting the Goto bolts in here for the tailpiece. I used the old anchors because they fit more snug than the Goto anchors. And I also had to run a ground wire from the tailpiece here into the pot cavity. So I did that. Okay, so that's going to be tonight's job. And it shouldn't take too long. I'm going to install the pickup straightforward. There's going to be no push-pull or any of that. Again, my objective here is to get the guitar to look very much like a Gibson Custom, although it doesn't have the inlay here, but that's okay. All right, so let me work on the pickups now. What I'll do is I will insert a pickup installation video. I think it's from Seymour Duncan, so that you can see what I did, so I don't have to film it. It's already there. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, so I got the pickups in, and these Japanese guitars, this is the third one I worked on, and it's very interesting, but the pickup rings that come with these Japanese guitars, they're a little off from the Epiphone rings, and they're a little off from the Gibson rings, so it becomes a bit of a challenge if you want to put new pickup rings on the guitar. So I kept the original ring for the neck position. And what I had to do for the bridge pickup and the bridge ring was I needed to plug the holes from the original screws, the original ring, and put a new ring on. It's an Epiphone ring, and like I said, it's just ever so slightly off. And it's interesting because the front screws here match perfectly with the old holes. It's the rear that is a little bit off. So like I said, I plugged all the holes, and I do that with super glue and toothpicks. And what I needed to do was drill new holes into the body here and here to get the pickup ring to sit properly. Because what was happening was when I was using the original holes, I would start screwing the screws in, and then the pickup ring would start to get a little warped and distorted. That's because it was, tightening down, and it was squeezing the ring, if you will. So it's all fixed now. But I'll tell you, something that would be normally a very, very easy thing to do turned out to be I don't want to say it was a challenge, but it took more time than it should have. But in any case, it's done now, so we're done. So I'll stop complaining. Now, the other thing I want to just cover with you guys is that whenever you buy pickups, make sure that you check the wiring diagram, because a lot of companies, they will have very consistent and common color coding for the wiring, going from the pickup to the potentiometers, both the ground, which is the ground, which is the hot, and so on. But every once in a while here, for this pickup here, this is I think this was the neck pickup. Yes, I think so. the wires are a little different, the color coding. So make sure you always check that, okay? Otherwise, you'll solder it up, plug your guitar in, and it won't work. And that would be a drag, okay? So just a little tip there. Just make sure you check which is the ground, which is hot, which are going to be the wires, if you're going to do some push-pull stuff, and so on. But in any case, it's looking really good. This is the, I think I told you this before, these are the bolts to the Goto tailpiece that's going in. I kept the original anchors because they fit tighter, and I think I mentioned I had to run a new ground wire, which is lying up against the anchor underneath the screw here. It's in the body, going into the volume tone pot cavity, and I need to ground that wire. I haven't grounded or soldered anything for that matter. The wires are right here. So because I'm not going to be doing any push-pull, you can see that these red and white wires right here and right here, they're twisted together. And then what I use is liquid tape to seal off the tips of the wire because they were exposed. And that's how I seal them. So we're just going to work with the bare wire here, which is ground. The black wire is going to be ground, so they'll go together. And then this green wire will connect to the volume pot. Same thing here. Same color coding. Okay, so that's how it's going to work. Also, I'm going to put a new pick guard on. Looks a little dulled out because the plastic sheathing is on the pick guard. I was going to put the original on, but after I looked at it, I mean, it was well played. It looked pretty beat up, so I figured after doing all this, why put the old pick guard on? I'll just put a new Gibson custom pick guard on. Cheap enough, $9 from All Parts from Amazon. Okay, so that's it. There you go. The second stage of Quay guitar going to look like a Gibson custom. We're on our way, and let me see, maybe I'll hook up the pickups tomorrow, and if the bridge comes, I can actually get the whole guitar done. But I don't know if that's going to show up tomorrow. All right, you guys have a great evening, and I'll talk soon.
Changing your pickups is surprisingly easy, and once you get the hang of it, it doesn't take much longer than changing your strings. There's no absolute best method, but here I'll show you one technique that's especially fast and easy. Let me show you some of the tools you'll need. First of all, a soldering iron, whether it's this fancy kind with adjustable temperature, or just your basic pencil type iron. But in any case, don't use one of those big gun type irons because that's too much power for fine electronic work. You'll need a tool to clip wire and one to strip wire. You'll need small screwdrivers, both regular and Phillips head. An electric screwdriver is great if you have one, but if not, the old-fashioned kind will get the job done. You'll need a small pliers to grab hot wires or work them through tight places, and a little bit of electrical tape. It's also a good idea to have on hand a roll of painter's tape, which is like masking tape but less sticky, and your cell phone so you can make a record of your work as you proceed. And finally, some bath towels to protect your work area and your guitar. Now, soldering can be dangerous, and you shouldn't proceed unless you're comfortable with the tools. You can find some really good soldering tutorials online. Just go to YouTube and type in how to solder electronics. We'll also review a couple of basics as we proceed. A good starting point is to download a wiring diagram appropriate for your guitar and your pickups. Just go to SeymourDuncan.com, click on Support, and then Wiring Diagrams. In this demo, I'll be replacing the bridge pickup in a dual humbucker guitar with 2 volume controls, 1 tone control, and a 3-way switch. So I'll choose that option. But you know, a lot of times you can do the job without a wiring diagram, especially if you're just swapping pickups without altering the electronics or doing any fancy wiring tricks like phase switching or coil tapping. Here we just want to exchange one pickup for another, so we'll be opening up the guitar, seeing where the old pickup connects, disconnecting it, installing the new pickup, and making the same connections with the new wires. It should go pretty fast. Now, before we start soldering, a few words about the 2 types of pickup connections you're likely to encounter. Vintage pickups and vintage style pickups use what's called single connector wire. This type of wire has a meshy outer coating that gets connected to ground, usually by being soldered to the back of one of the pots. There's also an inner wire, usually inside a layer of black insulation, that carries the hot connection. And it usually connects to one of the lugs of your volume pots. The pickup we're removing is this type. By the way, they call it hot just because it carries the signal from the pickups, but it doesn't get physically hot unless you heat it with the soldering iron, and it will never shock you, so don't worry about that. The other type of wire is called 4-connector, and it's more common in modern pickups. It's not necessarily any harder to work with, it's just different. It looks like a single black wire, but when you strip it back, you see that it actually contains 5 wires inside: black, white, red, and green, and a bare, unshielded one. There's also this foil wrap that you don't use. You can just snip that away. The pickup we'll be installing has this type of connections. The extra wires, by the way, are for doing things like coil taps and phase switching, which we won't be doing in this tutorial. We'll just be connecting it the same way the single connector pickup was connected. Now, one important thing. These color codes are not universal. In this demo, we'll be working with Seymour Duncan pickups and their unique color codes. If you're using this lesson to install pickups from another manufacturer, it'll still be either single connector or 4-connector, but the color code may be different, so definitely check the manufacturer's website for the codes before you proceed. Now, assuming you are working with a Seymour Duncan pickup, the color codes work like this. The black wire carries the hot signal from your pickups, and it'll get connected to one of the pot lugs. The green and bare wires are the ground signal, and they're going to get soldered to the back of one of the pots. And the red and white wires are used for advanced wiring like phase switching and coil tapping, and we won't be using them. We'll be braiding them together and taping them off. Now, while we're on the subject, let's go ahead and prep the wires for the pickup we're going to be installing. I'm stripping away the outer shielding with my wire stripper, and I can see that there's 5 different wires in there. 4 of them are shielded, and I'm going to use the wire stripper to strip away the shielding from those 4. The red one, black one, white one, and the green one. Now I'm going to braid together the white and red wires. And I'm going to solder them together. Just as a reminder, when you're soldering, you generally don't touch the solder directly to the iron. You use the iron to heat the area to be soldered, and then touch the solder to the surface once it's hot enough. Okay, I've got the white and red connected. Now I'm going to braid together the green and bare wires and solder them together the same way. Heat it up for a second, touch the solder to the hot wire. There we go. And even though I'm not yet connecting the black wire to anything, I'm also going to apply a thin coat of solder to that wire. That process is called tinning, and that thin coat of solder makes the wire easier to work with and more likely to adhere to whatever surface we're trying to attach it to. Finally, I'm going to get a little strip of black electrical tape and seal off the red and white wires, which we won't be using. And there's our 2 working connections, the green ground wire and the black hot wire. I've already placed a bath towel over my work surface. I've taken a second towel and wrapped it up like a pillow, and that's going to make a neck rest for my guitar. It's going to give me a nice, stable working surface. Okay, we're going to have to remove the strings. If you want to use this opportunity to change your strings, just snip them off with the wire clipper. If you want to reuse your strings, work them free from the tuning posts. If you have a Les Paul type guitar, be prepared for the fact that the bridge and the tailpiece may be attached by nothing more than the pressure of the strings. So grab them and put them somewhere safe so they don't scratch your guitar. Turn your guitar over and use your screwdriver to remove the control cavity cover. Keep on hand a little dish to stow all the little parts, or just use the little plastic box your pickups came in. There are 6 screws on the pickup mounting ring. For now, let's remove the 4 Phillips head screws in the corner. These are the ones that secure the mounting ring to the body. Gently work it loose from the body, and then turn the guitar over so you can look into the control cavity. If you haven't already done so, now is a great time to snap a picture of the before electronics. Now gently tug the pickup to identify its wire. Okay, now I can see that the hot wire is connected to one of the lugs of this middle volume pot, the bridge volume pot, and its outer mesh is soldered to the back of the pot. I'll unsolder the hot connection by touching the soldering iron to the lug. Here I'm able to work it free just using the tip of the iron, but in general it's a good idea to grip the wire with a little pliers so you don't burn yourself. It might take a little longer to melt the solder on the back of the pot, especially if you don't have a fancy soldering iron with adjustable temperature. Just be patient. You may have to hold the iron there for 30 seconds or so before it comes loose. Now the pickup's ready to remove, but before we take it out, let's make a note of its orientation. Humbucker pickups are usually oriented screws out. Neck pickup screws face the neck. Bridge pickup screws face the bridge. Also note that the mounting ring isn't symmetrical. It's fatter on one side. I'm going to use a little strip of painter's tape to mark the bridge facing side of the pickup so I don't get mixed up later. This is also probably a good time for another cell phone picture. New pickups generally come with screws and springs, but not new mounting rings. So in most cases, you'll want to remove the pickup from the old mounting ring and replace it with the new one. Check out the assembly. Here's the pickup with its brackets. There's the plastic mounting ring and 2 long screws inside springs. Now this can be one of the trickier parts of changing pickups, especially the first time, namely removing the springs and screws without having the springs go flying across the room. Cup the whole assembly in your hand and work the remaining 2 screws loose with a regular head screwdriver. Now, use your fingertips to compress the spring, exposing the bare end of the screw. Position the new pickup's bracket over the screw and hold it in place. And then screw it in. The exact amount you screw it in doesn't really matter. We'll be adjusting it later. Just enough to hold everything together for now. Now this sort of pickup with no cover displays both the slugs and the screws. But like we said before, the screws will face towards the bridge. So make sure that the screws are oriented towards the bridge side of the pickup mounting ring. Now install the screw on the other side of the bracket. And we're ready to load the pickup. Work the wires through the hole that leads to the control cavity. And position the pickup, triple checking the orientation of the screws. Turn it over, pull the wire through. Now you can screw the new pickup in using either the screws you saved or the new ones that came with your pickup. Now we're going to work the tinned tip of that black wire through the lug of the volume pot. Heat the lug with the tip of the soldering iron. Thread the black wire through it, making sure it's not touching any other connections. Let it set for a second. And now all we have to do is connect the ground wire to the back of the pot. Again, be patient here. It may take a while to get it up to adequate heat. Now, as you can tell from looking at this guitar, I've done a lot of pickup changes in here, and it's kind of a mess. But I've got this little blob of solder left from my previous installs, and I'm just going to melt that till it's a nice runny pool, and then put the wire in. Now, I suggest you don't follow my dumbass example here, and use the pliers to hold the wire instead of your bare fingers. There, it looks nice and runny. Press it into place. Let it set for a sec. And there, it looks good. We're all set. If I wanted to be a little bit neater, I could have trimmed this wire shorter. Sometimes I leave a little bit of extra wire because I might want to reuse the pickup on another guitar where it needs a little bit more wire run. You can always just tie everything off with a little cable tie to keep it neat. Having a few extra inches in the wire has no sonic consequences whatsoever. And just to be super clear, here's an annotated picture of what we just did. Black wire to the lug, ground wire to the back of the pot, red and white taped off. And now it's time to check the connection. I'm going to plug in the guitar. Make sure I've got the proper pickup selected. I'm going to very lightly tap the pull pieces with the screwdriver and verify that I'm getting sound out of them. While I'm at it, I'm going to lower the bridge volume pot, make sure it's working correctly. There we go. That's what we want to hear. If everything's working as expected, restring and adjust the pickup height. Here's one good technique. Press your string down at the highest fret and raise the pull pieces till they almost but don't quite touch the string. That'll give you a good starting point, and from there you can adjust to taste. Do the same on the treble side. Now, if you don't hear a sound when you tack the pickup, you need to recheck the connection of that hot black wire. If you do hear a sound, but with more buzzing than you're used to, then you probably have a problem with your ground wire connection. Now, if you're stuck at this point, remember, help is waiting. During West Coast business hours, you can call Seymour Duncan Tech Support. The product experts are smart, patient, cool, and eager to help you. You can also get info 24/7 on the Seymour Duncan Users Forum. Just go to seymourduncan.com and click Forum. Don't be shy about asking beginners questions. Everybody here was a beginner at some point, and they're very eager to help. Well, I hope you found these instructions helpful, and I hope you enjoy your new pickup.
Hey everybody, it's Mike, and just a real quick update here on my Sage of Quay Les Paul style custom, and I'm chipping away at the work and making a lot of progress. So I put strap locks in. The bridge came today. It wasn't supposed to come until Friday, but FedEx delivered today, so that was good. Pickups are in. I put a new pick guard on. That's in. And now the only thing really left to do, and I really should have done it before I did all this work here, but I procrastinated because it is tedious work. I have to level the frets. So I'll do that tomorrow. I'm not going to do it today. I'm beat. I've been at this now for a couple of hours, and I've got other things I need to do other than sit here and play with guitars all day, although I would rather do that. Okay, so that's it. It looks really, really nice. And I did have to move this around a little bit. I was noticing the alignment relative to the neck of the posts. And originally, the way the holes were that were on the guitar, it was shifted ever so slightly to the left over here. So I moved it over. And that enabled me to put a brand new pickup ring on. That's what you see here. And it came out real nice. So I did that too. All right, so it's, like I said, it's looking beautiful. Again, just a recap. It just came with a body, 80 bucks. I bought the neck for like 50 bucks off of eBay. And then I started putting some other parts. I'll tally it all up at the end. But probably I would say about 200 bucks around there. Not too bad. I mean, considering the type of guitar it's going to be when it's done. Not too bad. All right, so you guys have a great, what is today, Tuesday? Have a great Tuesday, and I'll catch up with you later. Bye now. Good morning, everyone. Today is a day that I finish up my Sage of Quay Les Paul custom, and we're going to finish up with leveling the frets, and then doing a setup, putting a custom truss rod cover on, and we'll be good to go. So this will probably take about an hour and a half or so for me to level the frets and to clean up the fretboard. But once we're done, it's going to look very, very nice. I also have to cut the slots for the bridge on the bridge saddles, and that won't take very long at all. Okay, so I'll be back in a little bit, probably after I do the fret work. I don't think I'm going to show that since I've done plenty of other videos showing how to level frets. Okay, so be back soon. I want to show you this new tool that I'm using to crown the frets. StuMac makes it, and it's a V-cut file, and it's a diamond file. So what you have here on one side is, on the right hand side is the grit, and then you flip it over, the other side has the grit, and it's cut like a V. Let me see if I can show you this best I can. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see it. Okay, so once you file the fret and it's flat on top, you take this file, and because it's cut like a V, what's going to happen is it's going to shape the fret, right? It's going to be like a little pyramid. And then what you do is you take your crowning tool, you file with the crowning tool, and you're going to eliminate any flat spots, okay? So I think it's really good. It's an expensive tool. It's about, I think it was 80 bucks. But it is very, very well made. And like I said, it's a diamond grit on the file. So it's not cheap. And the result so far, I've done a couple of frets here, you can see, has been very, very good. So I'm very pleased. Okay, so I'll be back, like I said before, after I finish up the frets, but I did want to show you this tool. And it is from, I'll turn it around, StuMac. And it's called the Safe Edge Z file. All right, you guys, be back. Okay, so the fretboard is completely leveled, and it's been recrowned, and the fretboard's been polished, and I applied some orange glow oil to the fretboard, and it's looking very, very nice. So one of the things I wanted to do was to put a graphite nut here and take this nut out, but I think I'm going to wait on that because I don't have enough time today to get started with that, so maybe next week sometime. So what I'll do is I'll put the bridge on, the tailpiece. I have to slot the saddles on the bridge, which will be over here once here we go, right here. And I'll put the strings on it, and we'll see how it sounds and how it plays. And like I said, maybe sometime next week I'll get to the graphite nut, and I will sit down and show you how to put a nut in from scratch. So the nut I'm putting in is not pre-formed or pre-slotted. It's a block of graphite, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so let's get the saddle slotted and the strings on, and let's see what we have here. Okay, so here's the bridge. It's a Goto bridge, and the Goto comes pre-slotted, so you can start your slots. Now, I already slotted this, so you'll see very, very small slots, like right here on the Goto, all the way across all 6 saddles. And so what I'm doing here is now I'm going to place the bridge on the guitar with the flat side versus the angled side toward the back of the guitar. And the reason why I'm doing that is because you usually need more real estate on the bridge to move the saddle back in order to intonate the low E string. If you have the saddle turned the other way, and let's just say this is the low E, you can see that you lose some real estate because of this angle on the saddle. So when I turn it this way, I gain that real estate back. Okay? So the way this works is you'll see the high E saddle, which is right here. This will move forward. The B string saddle will move forward a little bit. This might, in fact, the E string might move all the way to the front. That happens sometimes. That's okay. The G saddle will most likely land here in the middle, maybe a little back further. The D string saddle, which is the 4th string, will probably be right around here, maybe a little forward. The A string saddle, which is the 5th string, will be here or moved back a little. And the low E saddle will typically be about 3/4 of the way along the bridge, and maybe even very close to the back of the bridge. Okay? So that's the reason why I'm going to be putting the saddles on, so it looks like this versus this. Now, I did get an email one time or a comment on YouTube where somebody was saying that the saddles always have to go like this. That is absolutely false. It doesn't matter whether the saddles go this way or they go this way. In fact, on many bridges, what you'll see is the first 3 strings, the saddles, the slope is facing toward the back of the guitar, the angle toward the back of the guitar, and the D, A, and E saddles, it's turned this way. So it looks like this. So mine are going to be facing, again, like this, so I have as much real estate as I possibly can, especially for the low E, to intonate it. All right, so I'm going to put it on the guitar now, and I'm going to string her up, and I'll do a setup, and let's see what we've got. Okay, so I put the tailpiece on. The bridge was not a problem. The tailpiece, believe it or not, was a very tight fit. In fact, it was so tight that I couldn't get it onto the poles. So I have another tailpiece gold. It's not as nice as this is the Goto. This is a Chinese version. You can just see this is yellow. This looks like real gold. Well, it's not real gold, but it's the gold plating is much nicer. And so this fit okay, and this was I couldn't get it on. So what I needed to do was to take a look at the slots on this one since it fit, and use this as a template against the Goto to see how much it was off. And so what I wound up doing was taking this file and then filing the insides of the Goto tailpiece until it fit, and now it fits. I did have to tap it in a little bit with my hammer, but very, very little. So it's a nice tight fit, but very interesting that without me filing it, there was no way this tailpiece was going on the guitar. But if I stuck with the Chinese version, it would have. So go figure. In any case, a much better tailpiece, a very nice bridge, GFS humbuckers. I think this guitar is going to sound great, and so let me string her up now and let's see what we get. Okay, so she's all done. I just got done playing her, and what I'll do maybe tonight is plug her in, and I'll add a clip with how she sounds through the amp. But came out really, really nice. Let's take a look. Frets are all level. There's the custom truss rod cover. Sage Quay custom. There's the headstock. I did, for now, kept the nut that came with the neck on the guitar, but I will be changing it out at some point. But I have to tell you, I lube the slots here, and I lube the slots here on the bridge, and she stays in tune fine. And I was playing very aggressively with bends, and she was spot on. The other thing is the intonation was spot on. I did not have to move any of the saddles. They're all in line, which is something else that doesn't happen very often. So intonation's on, she stays in tune. The pickups are awesome. Now, these are Guitar Fetish pickups, and for the neck position, it's their H11 Alnico Fat Pat Boutique Humbucker Gold. So a really nice sounding pickup. And then for the bridge position, right here, I bought their H06, and this is the Crunchy Pat High Output Humbucker. And that combination, it sounds very, very good. So I'm very pleased. The knobs, I got these. I bought them off of eBay. They are the retro knobs for the guitar. New pick guard. Pick guard came from All Parts through Amazon. A new bracket. The old bracket was pretty rusted. I kept the old plate. That's fine. The wiring inside is all Epiphone wiring. It's the pre-wired harness, which includes the three-way switch. I put a new three-way switch plate on. I have those in inventory. Again, tailpiece, Goto. The bridge is a Goto. It's G-O-T-O-H. I did have to file the around where the posts go on this tailpiece in order to get it to fit properly, but it wasn't that bad at all. Let me see what else. I put on Dunlop strap locks. I put them on all of my guitars. These are Grover tuners that I had on another guitar upstairs, and I swapped it out, and I kept these because who's going to throw away Grover tuners, right? So I put them on this guitar. But she came out really, really nice. The only thing I may have to do, I noticed a couple of frets. I may have to buff it up a little bit more with some of the micro mesh sticks. So I'll do that, but it's not bad at all. Just something, I pick up on stuff like that, and I start to get maybe just a little too much into the minutia. Okay, so there she is. This is the Sage Quay Les Paul style custom. All right, all done. The next guitar is going to be an old Ventura, which is about 45 years old, and I'll be putting that together. Okay, so maybe I'll show you that in a second. Be right back. Here's the old Ventura. This is early 1970s, around 1971, 72. So we're talking about 45 years old. You can see the headstock is the Gibson headstock. It even has the custom diamond inlay. It has the Gibson open book headstock. The Grovers are very old, but they are not the tuners that came with this guitar. For one, the guitar is supposed to have gold hardware, and these are, of course, silver Grovers. So I bought gold, which will match the type of tuners that should have come with this guitar when it was new. So I'll put those on. The neck's in very good shape. The fret wear a little bit, not too bad. The pickups, I ordered some pickups, and what I ordered was the dual rail pickups, because one of the things that I've noticed with these Japanese guitars is that when they came out of Japan in the 1970s, the screws, or the posts, I should say, on the pickups, they have 6 posts, right, for each string. They were closer together. If you buy a humbucker today, those posts are spread out a little wider. So what happens is if you use a humbucker today's humbucker, with the spacing of the posts being a little wider, what'll happen is when you string up your guitar, your old Japanese guitar, the strings are not going to sit over the posts on the pickups. Not that it's a gigantic problem, because pickups have a very good magnetic field, but it could look a little goofy. So I noticed this on the first Japanese guitar that I worked on. So the way around that is I bought dual rail humbuckers. So there are no posts. We just have rails. And one of the reasons why the pickups were, the original pickups with the posts were closer, is because the neck on these guitars are really very much like a Fender neck. They have well, let me just take a look at this one. I think it's probably a 7.25 or 7 1/4 radius on this. So basically what happens is you have a narrower neck, and so therefore that's going to create a problem when many of these humbuckers are designed for 12-inch radius necks for Les Paul style guitars. But in any case, I'm going to keep the original tailpiece and also the original bridge. And the reason why you have to keep the original bridges on these old guitars, if you can, is because the radius is 7.25 inches. The typical Tune-o-matic is going to be a 12-inch radius neck, and that's a mismatch right off the bat, and you're going to have issues with string height and buzzing and all of that. One workaround possibly is a Fender Mustang bridge, which is very similar to a Tune-o-matic. I did try that on the Japanese guitar that I wound up selling, and I wasn't really happy with it. So I went back to the original bridge. So with these guitars, if you're going to buy them, these Japanese guitars, make sure the bridges are in pretty good shape, because in all likelihood you're going to have to use them in order to make the radius work on the guitar. Okay? All right, so that's my next project. It's going to get cleaned up. It's going to look really good when I'm done. I had an old Ventura when I was a kid. I gave it away in the 1980s. I had it about a decade or so, and who knew? Who knew that down the line they would be worth a lot more than what I paid for back in the 1970s. Okay, so this is the next project. When I'll get to it, probably within the next couple of weeks or so. Got some other things I got to do, like finish up recording and work. Yeah, work always gets in the way. All right, you guys, have a great day, and talk soon.